Live. Go.
Welcome to Before I Do, the show that covers what should be done before I do. And this is a show that we also want to reach out to those of you who you might be engaged, you might be dating, you might decide that you don't even want to be married, but tune in because this is a show where we want your feedback and your input and to really provide you some solid advice and to have courageous conversations that are relevant to dating and relationships.
Now, keep in mind, this is intended to be an interactive show. This is a call and response experience. So feel free to share your thoughts, comments, and questions regarding tonight's theme in the chat. So did you enjoy your vacation last week?
I did, so much so that I almost cried having to come back home.
And want to thank you all so much for tuning in. For those of you who checked out Mama's Boys and Daddy's Girls, came with us to hopefully you all enjoyed Aruba last week.
Yes.
Probably not as much as we did, but man, yeah. But thank y'all so much. And so we are continuing on in that vein of familiarity.
Okay, I see what you did
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
I see what you did there.
Familial and familiar.
Familial.
Yeah. See what I did exactly? See?
Okay, that's so sexy.
That's why you married me.
Vocabulary wise. All right, so tonight's show, it discusses meeting the family. Now, y'all know that's big.
Gotta check the tree.
You gotta check the tree. That's his statement, y'all.
You gotta check the tree. Some of y'all, the problem is some people didn't check. Some people didn't check the fruit. Check the tree. They got the fruit and then didn't realize I should have checked the tree there where this fruit came from.
So is it pretty much, this is about meeting the foundational family. And so for us, we define the foundational family in the following way. So the foundational family is the group of individuals who you share history with. This is your foundation. It is your source. And pretty much they were responsible for the majority of your influences, your belief systems, your practices, overall your habits and your culture. That's your foundational family. They laid the foundation. So when we refer to that, that's exactly what we're talking about. So is it important to have your significant other meet your foundational family?
So you're gonna jump right into our question of the night. So that's our speak now. That's our first question of the night. So yeah, our first question of the night is in the chat. Is it important for you to meet your significant other's foundational family? If so, why? So go ahead and put your comments in the chat. Do you think it's important to meet your significant other's foundational family? Was it important for you to meet my family?
Yes, it was. I needed to see the people that contributed to all of this.
Your voice, the huskiness in your voice is a bit concerning. I just want to put that out there.
It was important for me to meet your family, and it was important for me to have you meet mine. And I think I would have had some challenges if you didn't want to meet my family. That would have been some red flags for me. So
yeah, it was important, definitely important for me as well. I think that when you marry an individual, you marry into that person's culture and family, but not in the way that most people think. Obviously, we are spiritual, and so we believe that, again, a man leaves his mother and father and clings to his wife. So we have a man leaves his father and mother and clings to his wife.
Yes,
so even though we have our own home and our own culture, my culture comes from a certain group of individuals, and there are some times where we interact and intermingle with my foundational family and yours as well. So I think it's important to know exactly where some of those things come from, and also because we planned on having children, seeing exactly who they were going to be around, who are the influencers, who are the individuals who are going to be the stakeholders. Who can you trust? Because you can't trust everybody just because they're family. You can't trust them with every portion and part of your life. So being able to have a good comprehensive look and feel at who you're dealing with.
And so Walter has this thing when it comes to foundational family, it reminds him of going to the doctor. And so would you like to expound on your thoughts about this?
Absolutely. So for those of you who go to the doctor, and I know some of you all try to avoid going to the doctor, but one of the things that people really dislike, I don't like using the word hate. One of the things that people do not like about going to the doctor are those long forms you have to fill out in regard to your family's history. And so they want to know all the information about, does tuberculosis run in your family? Does cholesterol, does high blood pressure, do all these things run in your family? And the reason why that's important is because your family history provides insight for achieving excellent health. When you know the health risks based on the history of disease within your family, you can plan ahead for screening tests and to make lifestyle changes to reduce the risk of developing the conditions that run in your family. So being able to, the awareness helps you to combat and create a plan for exactly the health that you need. It's the same thing when it comes to our foundational family and our relationships. Now, we want to advise you, we are not saying that when you meet somebody's foundational family, if it seems like they was raised by a pack of wolves and it's not gonna work because that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that when you meet the family, that lets you know exactly what you are getting yourself into.
You know, I just had a moment when you said that. Please don't be on a date or your significant other takes you to your foundational families. Y'all got high blood pressure. Y'all got diabetes. All right. My counselors on Couples Academy told us to shake the tree. Now we ain't tell you to ask them people.
Yeah, you got to be discreet
about all of their business.
You got to be discreet. This ain't even about it.
That's not this kind of show.
Yeah, you have to be discreet. It's important to be discreet, but you do want to be observant. And we are going to offer some tips tonight as it relates to how to go about being productive in meeting your significant other's foundational family.
But we are saying interview those who are interviewing you, but it is in a subtle way.
Right.
So again, sometimes we're excited, we're in love. Oh my gosh, my man, he taking me to meet his family. Oh my gosh, my girl want me to meet her family. We're so excited to where we want to impress. We want to impress. We want to make a first impression that's great, to where we are so nervous and caught up into how they are seeing us. Are we really kind of auditing what we're seeing? And so that's what we're saying by interview them while they're interviewing you.
Yeah, that's one of the rules that we tell our students that we work with, is that sometimes we can get so caught up in wanting the job that you don't take the time to recognize that, wait a minute, this company is getting value in me. I value me and what I bring to the table. So we need to interview the people that are interviewing us. So not being so enamored with trying to get the family to like you, but being observant and listening and watching to see exactly what you are getting involved with. And if you want to get involved with it, knowing your value and knowing your worth. And last but not least, listen. Can you ring the bell, please, for me?
Hey.
Everybody's family is crazy. Everybody's family is either crazy or you got crazy people in your family. You're not crazy. You're not special because your family is crazy. Everybody's family crazy. Everybody got crazy people in their family. The question is, have you been called to that crazy?
That's right.
And I will tell you this. My wife was called to our crazy. All of these years have proven that we needed exactly what she has brought to our family. So again, don't let the crazy.
And Walter has been called to my family as well.
I pray that I have. I pray that I have. I really, I don't think I would have been around this long if I hadn't been. So, have you been called to that crazy? And so don't allow the craziness to necessarily run you away. Don't be naive, ignorant, and oblivious to it.
Right.
But be mindful of, how do I fit in? What is my role? Have I been called to this crazy? Some of y'all been called to some crazy, and you've been running away from it, but it's crazy everywhere you go, including within your own family as well.
All right, and that takes us to our question of the night.
Yes.
Question number 1, and this is our speak now or forever hold your peace. Get ready, go to the chat area. We want your input. The question of the night. You want to post it up? Yeah, actually, yeah. So I'm just going to speak it right now. So the question of the night, once again, is, do you need to meet your significant other's foundational family? And if so, why? Is it important?
Absolutely. So we're going to come back. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with more before I do.
So we are back with Before I Do. Again, is it important to introduce your significant other to your foundational family?
Check the tree.
And vice
Check
versa.
the tree.
And Walter says, check the tree. He
Check
says
the
that
tree.
we all have crazy family.
Check the tree.
But are you called to that person's crazy? So again, this is about meeting your family. Mm-hmm. How important is that to you? We ask you guys to go to the chat area, put it in there. Is it important to meet your foundational family? Is that something you require, you expect? Are there red flags if they don't want to meet your family? Like, you know, how are you feeling about that? Again, we are Couples Academy consultants, and we specialize in premarital counseling, and we take our clients through this process of the foundational family.
Charmaine, we got some comments coming in as far as with the answer to the question. So gorgeous. Every time I say gorgeous name, I feel like I'm flirting. Just so you know, I'm glad you said. So gorgeous says yes, it's very important to meet the family. That's right. Absolutely. So that's important. Dee Dee says, hate those long LONG forms, but the purpose is worth it. Good analogy. Absolutely. And Dee Dee says, yes, I do want to meet the family because I want to know what I may be walking into.
Yes,
absolutely.
Girl. Mm-hmm. Yes, Dee Dee. Very powerful. And so the question becomes is, okay, now you're in the environment, you're around a foundational family. What are you supposed to look for? What do you look for?
Yes.
And so that's a powerful thing. And so our first point of the night is we advise you to look for contradictions. Ooh. Now see, I'm one of those observers. I watch people. I know it's kind of creepy for some of y'all, but you know, I look for contradictions, right? And so I think it's really important to make sure that whenever we're around the foundational family, sometimes people say things, but what are they doing? Are their words and their actions in full alignment? And so are there any contradictions? It's like, oh, you know, well, we, I don't know, or your partner might say, well, my family's overly spiritual or they're religious, you know, and then you go over to the house and there's some things that you might kind of call into question, you know, like if they, you know, got a gambling operation in the back room, or, you know, just different things that you might find to be kind of outside of alignment of what's being said. And so those are the things that can be some powerful, courageous conversation. And this is no judgment if you're running, you know, an illegal gambling room in the back of your house. But you know, I that would stand out to me if I, you know, my significant other brought me to their house, their family's house, and you know, they're spiritual people and they have a, you know, a gambling operation. Can
I throw a little slurp? Can I throw a little circle in the square?
Absolutely.
Shout out to my brother Cotton. That's his phrase. Hey. I'm gonna throw a little circle in the square when it comes to contradictions, right? So with contradictions, with your significant other or the person that you're dating, they may be saying some things about themselves and what they want, but when you observe their foundational family, it seems contrary to what it is that they say that they want. Now, that doesn't always mean that they're not being truthful. A lot of times we want certain things that we are not getting within the culture of our family.
That's true.
So a contradiction in this particular sense can be a great opportunity, as Charmaine mentioned, for a courageous conversation about the type of culture that your mate may want to build that they didn't necessarily have themselves. But being watchful and mindful of those contradictions becomes a great opportunity to have some really key conversations about what potentially building that culture would look like and if it's even going to be possible.
I love it because it helps us to clarify in our communication. We know communication is a big thing, right? But it really does help us to clarify, are you speaking to who you want to be and where you're going? Are you speaking to where you are right now? Or are you speaking to who you were?
Absolutely. That's right.
So past, present, future, it helps us to clarify. So I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So things to look for. Point number 2, you want to look for traditions and processes.
Yes.
Now, traditions are what is done.
Wow.
Processes are how they are done. We know that here in America, most of us, we know we celebrate Thanksgiving. We celebrate Christmas. We set Christmas. I'm from the South, so we say Christmas. So we celebrate Thanksgiving. We celebrate Christmas. Some of us, when it comes to 4th of July, now we celebrate Juneteenth around here.
Okay.
But Memorial Day, those are part of those traditions, but the way they are celebrated are not necessarily always the same.
And for the record, some people don't celebrate holidays at all
Exactly,
because
correct.
of their spiritual beliefs and things like that.
Exactly. So you're observing and watching as it relates to what traditions are important for your significant other's foundational family. Just as you mentioned,
right.
Do they even celebrate certain holidays, or do they not? Do they abstain from those things?
Absolutely.
And then again, the important thing is, what is the process, or how do they celebrate those things? How do they commemorate those things? I will never forget that there was one Christmas for us where we totally changed the menu, because in the South, most people in the South have the same menu for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. And
everybody want to eat that same.
I was just getting ready to say, somebody I know, I wasn't going to say no names, but somebody I know was like, I want to do a seafood Christmas.
That's right.
And that's my favorite. That's our favorite food. So I'm like, say less. And so my foundational family was like, y'all doing seafood for Christmas? And listen, it sounded crazy. Everybody was over there trying to get some of that gumbo, trying to get some of those Cajun. It has become legendary. So again, it's a really great opportunity again to take a look at what are the traditions and the processes and the way that things are celebrated in that foundational family. And again, how they align with how you may want to celebrate things in the future or not.
That's right. And couples, again, both individuals, especially during the dating process, if you're engaged and things like that, you both are bringing the culture that was set by your foundational family, right? Some of those things fall off. And then when the couple comes together, you guys are forming and building your own culture. You're building your own brand together. And so that can be a difficult thing.
Yep.
But the next statement is, what are some look fors? The superheroes. Now
did you say heroes or heroes?
And it's all of that. Super, you got the hero and roles in that as well. And so in every family, you have individuals who have specific expertise.
Right.
And so if you go and you're visiting the person you're dating, the person you're engaged to, you go and you visit their family, you want to look at, who are these interesting members of their family? What is their value add? So there's individuals who there might be wise individuals in the family. What are some of the careers that you find to be as trends in this family? Who are the experts? Who does everyone listen to? Who does everyone look to? Who are the individuals who really are positive and really will make those deposits in your relationship? Who are those individuals who, if you are planning on getting married, would possibly be those great individuals to have influence over your children and who will partner with you guys in that? And so,
can we keep it real?
We can keep it real.
Can we keep it all the way 100?
Yes.
Who are those individuals too that when you have a problem, when you got some drama, when you got some challenges, that person that they're gonna have your back, they're gonna get loud, they're gonna help you do what needs to get done to accomplish the job. When your child is having challenges at the schoolhouse, who is gonna go down there with you and be just as loud as you to make sure that your child gets what they need? Who is also gonna be that individual when you need to buy a car?
That's true.
When you need to take it to get repaired? Who's gonna give you good counsel and insight on where you should take it? So those particular roles in identifying them in the foundational family of your significant other is so important, because what it also does is it helps you to prevent from villainizing them. That's being able to see those positive traits, being able to see how each person could potentially be a contributing factor. And we want to be careful too, because that not everyone can be trusted with everything.
That's right.
You can't trust everyone with your children. You can't trust everyone to babysit you. You can't trust everyone to borrow money. You can't trust everyone to borrow your car. You can't take everyone down to your child's school when there's a challenge. No. So being able to identify those roles, that's why we put those L's in there. So in each one of our families, both our foundational family that we come from and also the one that our spouse is coming from, there are champions if we can identify them, if we can hone in on the gifts and the talents that they have available, if we really allow ourselves to be objective.
Right. And they don't have to be your outlaws. You
Yeah.
know, these are individuals. You have a great village within that group.
Absolutely.
And
So yeah, we got some comments. Yeah, we got some comments in here. Dee Jones is going in. Dee said, I've said that already. Dee said, I look for behaviors, family, nature, and characteristics. Those are really important things that she looks for. And also Dee said that superheroes to me are good natured, kind, personal, and welcoming. Absolutely.
That's a big thing because let's be real. Culture, a big part of culture is not just the way we do things around here. It is also, it is like there's a quote that an HR expert said, and I believe her name is Dr. Davis, but she said, you know, culture is like the wind. You can't see it, but you can definitely feel it.
You know it's there.
You can feel it. So when you walk into, you know, their home, and are they welcoming? Are they inviting? You know, or what is the energy like, right? And so sometimes those things can kind of tell. Are there any stigmas? Are there any stereotypes? Are there any issues in the family that, you know, maybe there are just some barriers there that need to be, you know, kind of exposed. So.
Absolutely, yeah. So a lot of things to look for. Keep watch and be vigilant. So we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back with more Before I Do. We're talking about checking the tree. Tune in, y'all. Everybody, welcome back to Before I Do. Tonight we're talking about checking the tree, meeting your significant other's foundational family, and them meeting your family as well. A lot of great comments. Again, our question, one of the night, our Speak Now question is, should you meet your significant other's foundational family, and if so, why? Has some great comments, and we encourage you all to chime in as well. So,
and our next question is, because first of all, we had some great agreements that yes, you absolutely need to meet the family. Some great comments as to why. But the next question is what is the most important thing that you should be looking and listening for? Are you, when you invite them to meet your family, are you looking and listening for what? Is it about meeting their approval? It is, so is that one of the things? Is it about approval or is it about alignment? Maybe are you looking to see that, you know, who they are and who their family is, that, you know, that those things are in alignment, or something completely different? So go ahead and go to the chat area, put it in there for you. What is most important to you when you do take your significant other to your foundational family? Is it about approval, alignment, or something altogether different? We want to hear from you. Go ahead and put it in the chat area.
I remember when you and I were dating, for me, alignment was so important. And it was, and part of the reason why was because, you know, I think about, you know, us having children and just culture, and also being able to have like shared spirituality, and especially when you fall into trouble, or when challenges come, you know, being able to know that your family was praying for us as much as my family, and us praying for one another. So alignment for me was really important. I know that we had some differences as far as, again, culturally, but for me, alignment was so important. And knowing that we had core values, principles, spirituality, that across the board between both of our foundational families, it was really important to me that we had that alignment.
Yeah, and that's important too, because, but I will say this though, what about individuals who maybe they're the standout in their family? Like maybe they grew up in an environment that is not a reflection of who they've evolved into.
Right.
So maybe I'm calm, I'm patient, but maybe I grew up in a house where there was constantly yelling, fighting, always drama, the police always being called, but that's like not who I am.
Right.
But I need you to know where I come from, but you might not have that alignment.
Yeah, I think that goes back to what you mentioned as it relates to those courageous conversations. And those are opportunities to share that this is where I came from, but this is not where I want to stay. Right. I want something different. I want to create a different culture and set a legacy in place for my children. And also, too, we're big proponents of setting an example for nieces and nephews and for the community that surrounds our family, because those individuals will look to you and are looking at different cultures and seeing things that can be done in a different way.
That's right.
So not just limiting ourselves to what we are used to, but allowing ourselves to be inspired to move on to something different. And the foundational and our mate can be a really big part of that. So now we've talked about the things to look for. We talked about the 3 important things to look for. Now there's another part of that. You got to listen. You can't just look. You also have to listen. So there are 3 important things that you also want to make sure that when you meet your significant other's foundational family, that you want to listen for. So number 1, you want to listen for language. How are they speaking to one another? How do they verbally interact? Not just their verbal language, but their body language, facial expressions. Do they talk with their full body? Do they use some language and words that you don't necessarily care for? And who is using that language? Right. Are the children using this language with the adults? So again, being mindful of the language that is being communicated and that's being shared from the foundational family that you're interacting with is so very important. I see we got some comments coming in. So also too, so Alicia says, for me, it's about breaking the generational curses and not being ashamed of past limiting beliefs. So alignment for me, for sure too. And I agree with you both. Absolutely. So again, you can make the change. And again, you may have been called to somebody else's crazy, but you got to know at least what that crazy is before you can put yourself in a position of being able to change it. Dee Dee says the most important thing to me when the new person meets my family is that the new person seems to make a good connection and feels comfortable with my family.
Connection and comfort. Wow. Very powerful, both of those statements.
Absolutely.
And you know what? A lot of times our family will acquiesce to what we find to be important as well, right? And so if comfort and connection is powerful, your family will lean into that. And that's probably a part of the culture of your family anyways. And so everybody has that tone that they want visitors to have when they come to their home.
Right.
Other things to listen for include, okay, y'all, lean into this one. Other things to listen for are jokes, experiences, and stories. Now, first of all, storytelling can tell you a lot about history, about music, and it just tells you really the heart and essence of the family. If you have a storyteller in the family, you want to sit next to them. If you got a comedian in the family, then you definitely want to pay close attention to the jokes they're telling, how they tell it. Maybe it's a family who, I don't know, they regularly tell jokes on each other, or maybe the jokes are about certain topics, and sometimes that can kind of tell you it'll just give you the pulse of the family. But storytelling experiences, how much are they willing to share? I mean, if it's your first time meeting them and they want to go in detail about your partner, about stories from their childhood and how they overcame obstacles, or, you know, it just tells you a lot about the family. So you want to listen for experiences, jokes, and definitely stories.
So way before Ancestry.com, back in Africa, there was an individual called a griot.
Yep.
And the griot was responsible for passing down and communicating and memorizing the oral history of that particular tribe.
That's right.
And each family also ideally would have an assigned griot that was responsible for being able to communicate the oral tradition and history of the family.
Right.
And so that continues on in this day and age. But the challenge is, again, we don't listen. So with our elders, with a lot of the individuals in our family, I am grateful that with my wife and also with my mother, when I tell you, some of the people, like they remember everything. They remember people, and they can recall, sir, this person is kin to this person, and Bobby Sue married so and so and ran off with someone. Like they are able to regurgitate all of it, and part of it, if I could say so, is because of their experience and because of their background. And so it's important for us to really sit down and hear and listen to those experiences in those stories, because they tell us so much about the culture of the family and also what is important to them.
And we have a lot of blended families.
Yes.
I mean, I was adopted. We have a lot of blended families and situations and circumstances. And so I will be honest, younger, when I was in the dating process, I was concerned that I didn't want to find out that I was dating my brother or was dating a cousin, a close cousin or something like that. Now, I'm not judging you if that's your thing, you know, do you? But what I am saying is
I'm judging you.
That was a concern.
I'm judging you.
So I didn't want to be that person, you know, on the Jerry Springer show talking about this. So yes, listen to experiences, stories, and again, the genealogy, those individuals who provide that wisdom. Make sure you're listening.
Absolutely. Now, this last one, this was you said this, and I was like, wow, yeah. So I'm gonna
just ring the bell.
This last one is big. This last one is big. So, what to listen for? Listen for what is not being said.
That's right. All right, that's a C-Main special right there.
Yeah.
I am big on. Being a listener is a powerful thing. And obviously, yes, we are counselors, so we should be great listeners. But when I'm engaging and when I meet someone for the first time, yes, I'm listening. I'm taking in everything that they're saying, but what are they not saying? So I'm watching the nonverbal communication. I'm watching those hesitancies. I'm watching that when they're getting comfortable and when they pull back, when they become uncomfortable, when somebody's kind of giving a side eye look. I watch for those things. When topics show up that you can tell are either taboo, maybe politics or different things that have those awkward, uncomfortable moments. Just pay attention to what's not being said. That's a great skill to have.
Absolutely. And that's especially important when certain family members' names come up. When, you know, looking at the body language and the responsiveness of those individuals when it relates to certain family members or certain events.
That's right.
In regards to the family, certain things that it seems like that are brought up, how people would just move right past them.
Right.
That they don't want to talk about them very much. So that what is not being said, that's really, really powerful.
Yeah, great too.
Absolutely. Well, hey y'all, hopefully this has been helpful for you all tonight. We're talking about checking the tree.
Check the tree.
For those of you who are
tree.
meeting the foundational family, we hope that you all are able to really maximize those opportunities and that you all are able to look and listen and be mindful and watchful of the things that are taking place in your significant others' lives and take those into consideration.
Right. Book us for a session again, whether you're dating, whether you're just in a relationship with yourself and you want to definitely learn more about who you are, how you are, and why you are, so that you can show up as your best self when you are ready. If you're not trying to be married, but you know what, I just want to polish my skills, again, book us for a session. My name is Charmaine Jennings.
My name is Walter Jennings. This has been Before I Do. Be sure to tune in same time next week for another Before I Do.
to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.